and then helps us recreate over and over again a life we say we want to change. Now, I lived that way a long period of my life, so I am living, proving, walking example that if you want to keep your life going in a particular direction, just keep telling the same old story, and life will show up exactly the same way. Different husband, same story, right? Over and over again. And I've shared this before, but like my mother used to always say, Gayle, what's the common denominator here? And if you don't get that, I'll be more clear. I was the common denominator, because that was who I was energetically. And yet what Ernest Holmes teaches us is that doesn't have to be my truth. Didn't have to be my truth then. It just took me a while to figure out that didn't have to be my truth. And doesn't have to be my truth today. Today, I will say, when we go around for prayer requests in our home groups, and somebody will say, Gayle, what's your prayer request? And I'll be like, I love my life more, please. And do you realize how long it took me to be able to say, I love my life more, please? And yet now I can. And there are people from my past I hope you never meet, because they would say, oh, well, I don't know if I've shared this story with you. When I did my aunt's memorial service, my cousin was there. He's probably 2, maybe 3 years younger than me. And we're talking, and pretty soon he looks like at me, and you know when somebody's like really confused and they get that really tight-knit forehead? And he looked at me and he went, you're a minister? And I took my thumb and I rubbed his forehead and I said, yeah, I can't believe it either. And then he just laughed. So, you know, there is a story there about who I was or who I chose to be, and how I kept that as a living, breathing organism in my life. Until one day I woke up and decided, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be somebody different. And our spiritual mind treatment, if you live that, even if you didn't do a prayer, if you just live the pieces of it daily, you can change your life. So first of all, what we want to do is what? We want to recognize that there's something bigger than us, correct? Regardless of what religion you follow or what belief you have, unless you happen to be an atheist, you believe that there is something bigger than us. That thing that I choose to call God, people call it all kinds of different names. All kinds of different names. I don't think this thing itself, that's what Ernest Holmes called it, I don't think it cares what we call it. It's just waiting. It's that organism that just awaits us to say something, and then it can respond and say yes. Now think about that. It's infinite. It knows nothing about time and space, and it's waiting for us to say, hey, I want to change my life. Okay. Now, I was given a really good example of this one time by Reverend Bernardo Montserrat, who was my minister down in Santa Fe, New Mexico, when I first moved there. And he said, imagine that you're standing at a door, and behind it there's a conveyor belt. And at the conveyor belt are all the little angels that are working for the divine. And you're standing at the door and you say, I want the absolutely perfect relationship in my life. And those angels are so happy, they start putting together that absolutely perfect relationship for you. It's on the conveyor belt. It's about ready to come out that other door, like at the airport. Sorry, David. Don't mean to bring up work. But like, you know, you put your suitcase, goes around, comes back out. It's coming out the other door. And you in your brilliance say, that's probably never going to happen. And the angels are like, oh, good grief. Again. And they take your perfect partner off the conveyor belt and set it down and wait. That's a good analogy for how the universe is working. So first of all, we want to recognize that which is. You can call it energy. Father, Mother, God, whatever you choose. And to really know that it's there, to feel that in every essence of your being. Remember that heart math exercise we did? You breathe in 3 times really deep with your eyes closed, and then you picture something that brings you great joy and will put a smile on your face. And when that smile crosses your lips, then you realize you're connected to that which is bigger than you. That's where you go to know that there is something in the universe. Sometimes it starts to just show up. Synchronicity starts to happen in your life, and you start to believe, wow, wait a minute. It's easier to recognize when it's good, is it not? It took me a long time when synchronicity was showing up in my life all the time, and it wasn't so good. I didn't realize that what was happening was the universe was saying yes to me. It was providing me exactly what I thought I deserved at that time in my life. Absolutely. And I didn't know that. I thought it was all of your faults that I was picking bad husbands. At the very least, it was their fault for being bad. Yeah, you laugh out loud over there, Miss Annie. I hear you. As my mother said, common denominator, Gayle, you're calling this into your life. My mother was a great wisdom keeper, and she wasn't even aware of the things that she said that were so this philosophy, because she would tell you at that time that she called them conversations with Gertie, because her name was Gertrude. So then what you want to do, so you know that, you feel that, you've got that there's something bigger than you. And the next step is that one that a lot of people have trouble owning. If God is, and God is all there is, and God is everywhere, and God is in and through and as everything. Ernest Holmes used to say to little wee ones, there's not a spot that God is not. Don't you ever worry. If that's the truth, then God lives and breathes and has its existence in and through and as you and me. So how many of you, that's the place where you kind of go, that's hard. Has everybody got that one? Oh, good. Yeah. So it's a breathing essence within you. It's that part of you that always has been, always will be, and is right here and right now. You can call it your soul. You can call it consciousness. Again, it doesn't matter. It knows what it is. It is you that has chosen to be here in this form. And so as Ernest Holmes would say, once you could do the first 2 steps of our treatment, once you really got that there was a power bigger than you in the universe and it was here for your good. Remember, the universe is always working for you. Stop and take a breath with that one, because you think sometimes, seriously? That can't be true. The universe was always working for me, even when I was in difficult relationships, because there was something for me to learn, right? So it was never against me. It was always working for me. So when we really get that, Ernest Holmes would say, if you get that God is all there is, and if you get that you are God in form, the next words out of your mouth, manifestation. You really don't have to do 5 steps of treatment. Doesn't hurt. I'm not saying practitioners and community, you shouldn't do 5 steps of treatment. However, when practitioners really are, if you want to call it, in the zone, and that what I mean by that is when a practitioner prays with you and they get out of their head and drop into their heart, and what comes out of their mouth, they will not be able to tell you. Because what has happened is they have stepped out of the way and they are channeling that which they know is the truth of their beingness, that they are God in form, and that's what they're speaking to you. The words of wisdom that come out are that which are being downloaded to them and through them. And here's the beautiful thing about that. Practitioners aren't the only people that can do that. Every single one of you has that ability. You just have to have faith and trust in yourself. Every single one of you can know the truth of who you are and the magnificence of who you are and why you're here. That's powerful. Just think if we all really got that. Remembering how I started, principle is not bound by precedent. So it doesn't matter what your parents have told you, what your teachers have told you, all of that, just story. You're the only one that knows the truth. And that which, there's a part of you that really knows the truth. And so linking those two up. And then the third step that Ernest Holmes said to really know that principle isn't bound by precedents is to really start to name your good. We call that the realization step in the treatment. Really know you're good. And so there was a story that was shared about a young woman, single mother, and she was in one of our foundational classes, and she really, how many of you, when you first came into this philosophy, you were hungry, you absolutely everything somebody said you should do, all of the prayers, all of the little affirmations, every single thing, you did them because you were like, I am so hungry to change my life. And then we get kind of complacent, don't we? So I love this story because it reminded me how sometimes I can be so complacent about my good that God is waiting for me to name. So this woman's in class, she's got 2 little kids, single mom, and she has to pack up her 2 small children and all their laundry once a week and go to the laundromat. So she tells the class, I need a washer and dryer. So what she does, following the philosophy, is she gets a picture, she goes to Sears, she looks at them, she touches them, she takes a picture out of the catalog and posts them up on the wall exactly where she's going to put them in her apartment. And she tells her class every week, I want you to pray knowing that I'm going to have a washer and dryer. That's my good right now. That's what I want for me and my family, a washer and dryer. She never lost patience. The next thing she did, which I thought was brilliant, and these are the things that you don't want to see your neighbor doing, is she would take her laundry basket of dirty clothes and she would walk over to where the washer was supposed to be. She'd set the laundry basket down in front of it, and she would pretend to unload all the laundry into her washing machine, and she'd turn it on. And then she'd walk away for 30 to 40 minutes, and then she'd come back, and she'd take all the clothes out of the washing machine and put them in the dryer and turn the dryer on. And then she'd take them out and pretend to fold them and put them away, continuing to ask her class to pray and know. And so she just started to do this process. Now that to me is brilliant, because what she's doing is she's saying the washer and dryer are mine. They haven't manifested into form yet. They're mine. And nobody's going to tell me any different. So she had a friend that came and stayed with her. She said she needed a place to stay. She said, you can stay with me. She was there a couple weeks. On her way out, as a thank you, she bought this woman a washer and dryer. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how this works. And we forget. Don't we? We forget. Do you notice what Susan said about her grandson? She didn't say pray for that he gets better. She didn't say, I'm worried. She was very clear. Do not pray that he's in good hands. Pray for his joy. Pray for his excitement. Pray for him, running down the street again, or whatever he does. Know that is the truth. Because that's his good. That's what we need to know. And we get caught up in the drama of our humanness. The drama of our humanness. And so one of the things that Ernest Holmes says in his writing on this is, use your imagination. We forget, especially as adults, we forget that part of the brilliance of our prayer, if you will, or our intention, is that we can use our imagination. It's us and the divine. We could say anything we want to, and we can keep saying it, and if it's the truth and it harms none and it's really what we want, it will show up. But how many of you have lost patience and said, oh, that's never going to happen, and that door slams back shut? Or how many of you pray for something and, I want a perfect relationship for somebody who absolutely loves me unconditionally, and all of a sudden you've got a dog. And what you say to God is, no, that's not what I meant. No, that's not what you say. You say, oh, thank you. Obviously, I wasn't real clear. I would like my relationship to be in human form. We have to be a little bit clear. Not a lot of parameters, a little clear. So use your imagination. That's why we have it. And I think it is another thing that we get complacent about when we're adults, is we forget to use our imagination, because that's for kids. Only kids use their imagination. That's why kids always are smiling. That's why kids always are laughing, because they remember what it's like. They don't have to remember. They know what it's like to be carefree, to not be constrained by all the stories and all the walls we've built up around ourselves, because that's what we do as human. So this is an opportunity. Maybe the first thing you want to do is just, your intention is, I release all stories, past and present, that I believe about myself right here and right now. And then you go run through a sprinkler, so God knows you're serious, that you want to start being playful. Here's the thing, at my age, I get to go backwards anyway. Right? I realized that recently. Oh, I can start acting foolish again. Yeah, maybe. So there are those stories in our heads that we tell ourselves, that maybe that is the first prayer. Or maybe it's a perfect relationship. Or maybe it's a perfect house. Or maybe it's a washer and dryer. And yet the thing is, if you believe this, and you believe the universe is always saying yes to you, why wouldn't you do this? What stops it? Is it the fear that you think you're the one person on the planet God isn't going to talk to? That the one person that you're going to intend something and it's not going to happen? Look at your life. Seriously, look at your life and everything that you have been through up until this point. All the good, all the crazy. Maybe not all of you had crazy. I had crazy. All the crazy. Some of we could call it bad, we could call it opportunities, whatever you want to call it. Whatever has made up your life, look at all of that. And then look at yourself and decide, what part did I play in that? It's real easy to pick out what part we played in the good. It's some deep soul searching when you can start to look at, what part did I play in those pieces of my life that were a little dicey. And for me, it was a belief about myself. It was that simple. I didn't have to dig real deep to find out what the common denominator was when it was me. It was my lack of self-worthiness. And Ernest Holmes says it's one of our biggest things that we carry around as humans. We think we're not worthy. And here's a universal presence. It's not judging. All it's doing is saying yes. If nothing else, play with it. What do you have to lose? And then be grateful. You know, we are doing Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And in the law of gratitude, in the law of giving, which is for June, he says, always give everybody you meet something. And then he says, it doesn't have to be money, doesn't have to be food, it could be a smile, it could be a compliment. In today's world, it could be looking somebody in the eyes But just recognizing each other is a huge gift. And so that's the gratitude. And then I know people get stuck all the time with, what is this let go and let God? What does that mean? It's how we close prayer. Let go and let God. What the heck does that mean? And for me, what I always say is I let go of my human attachment to what I think this should look like. David's got that look on his face like, oh, really? My human attachment. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let go of my human attachment and allow the universe to show up like I know it does all the time for me, and in your case for all of you. That's why we're here. And so it's that this is an opportunity for us to say to each other, I refuse to play small anymore. Yep, I refuse to play small. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to be loud and outrageous, whatever that is. And some people, because here's what happens, if we know there's something in us that hasn't been healed and we're loud and outrageous, the first person that's going to come to you is somebody that's going to be, you probably really shouldn't act like that. And what I want you to recognize is that's not that person talking to you. That is your ego who has called that person forward energetically to make you stop right where you are. And so just say, well, thank you so much for your opinion. And then smile. Smile. Because you get to be all of those things. If the divine wanted a world full of automatrons, that's what we would be. We'd all look alike. It would be boring. That's not why we're here. So let's start living out loud. And right now, let's just all pray together. Close your eyes if you choose. And starting out just reminds me in Ernest Holmes' reading that he started out in Principle is Not Bound by Precedents by just saying, there is one life. That life is God's life. And that life is my life right here and right now. It is perfect, it is whole, and it is complete. And as I know this for myself, I know it for each and every person everywhere. That divinity that is the divine is within us. We are an ever-expanding stream of consciousness. And so we just breathe that in and say yes. And it is in that yes that we free ourselves up from all of this human play acting that we think we need to do. We stand up and we truly decide, I'm going to be outrageous. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to be truly me. Dang the torpedoes, so to speak. Some people are going to love you fiercely, and those that do, keep them close. And those that don't, that's okay. They can love somebody else fiercely. Find your tribe. Find those that are excited about you being you, that hold you up and bless you and encourage you. They hold you on high, knowing that the best you brings out the best them. There is no competition. It's an abundant universe. There's more than enough craziness for all of us. There's more than enough outrageousness, boldness, courage, and love. And so in honor, because I watched a special on Mr. Rogers this morning, it's that, won't you be my neighbor? Won't you love unconditionally like he did? What a true example of grace and ease in a human. And so let's be that. Let's own that as our truth, as the core of who we are. Let's celebrate each other and our wisdom and our intelligence and our divine idea of us, individually and as a community. And so I just say thank you, God. Thank you for this day, this moment, this time. Thank you for the courage in each person here to say yes to themselves, maybe sometimes for the first time in their life, to really know that they are worthy, and they are worthy, and they are worthy. And so with that, I release these words into that infinite field of possibilities we choose to call the law. Knowing love shows the way, that law makes the way possible. That's God's part. The hows will show up because they always do. So stepping out of my humanness of what this should look like or feel like, I allow the divine to play in the field of possibilities and show me the way. I let go, I let God, and together we say, so it is. Thank you.